Hello, welcome back. We have returned and now we're going to get into our cooler colors again. So it's going to be blues. For me, it's blues and turquoises. For some people, it might be greens. It might be any number of things that aren't red and orange and gold and yellow. But I'm really feeling these turquoises for some reason. And I'm going to also, I'm going to be using turquoise and a lighter turquoise and white. So again, I'm still just going with like 3 colors in the white. So it's going to be turquoise. And then a lighter version of turquoise. And you'll see some of these I'm just putting them straight out of their containers onto my palette. And then I'll mix them either on the palette or on the canvas. So you have lots of options as far as what you might do with them. And then just a big old bottle of white here. And one of the first things I'm going to do is take a little stick like I did before on some of my other paintings and some of the earlier parts of this one. And I'm going to make stars in the spots that I know I'm not going to put any of the blue right now. Simply because they take a while to dry. So it's good to sort of think ahead with that sort of thing at least. It's still not a planning sort of idea. It's just that I know where I'm going to be putting them. And then I also mixed this really yummy shade. I love this. It's so pretty. Lovely shade of turquoise. And I'm just going to put some of that on my palette so I have it ready. Without getting it everywhere, hopefully. I usually paint standing up, but I pulled a muscle in my calf. And I am going to sit today to paint. Because it just hurts too much to stand and move around. So for right now, I'm sitting, which means you get to see all of me. Oh, horrible. Who knew? There's an actual face attached to the body that's been painted. I'm just being silly, don't worry. I do that frequently. Alright, so like I said, stars first, so that they have time to make with the drying before I do a layer on top of them. The reason being that if they're wet and you try to paint over them, they will smear, run, become terrifyingly nothing. So it's better to just do them ahead of time. And there's no rhyme or reason. I'm just going to dot them on there, however I think works. Boop, boop, boop. Just sort of random. I spread them out a little bit more as I go further down. Boop, 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 boop. Something like that. And then I don't know, I have a feeling that one of these, this one down here is going to have a little bit of them. Mostly I also just like the way that the dots show through when you do more layers over top of them. So sometimes even if I'm not going to use them as stars, I just use them, the little dots, as being just something, just a pattern. And you see I put in a few more lines since we were together last. I put in these ones. I was having some very difficult conversations this morning. And it made me have that sort of tangled thoughts feeling. So I got some tangled thought feelings in there and I'll work them in. That's one of the nice things about these paintings is you can work in your everyday life stuff while working on the paintings. And where do I want to start with that bad boy? I think I want to start with him over there. Really feeling this turquoise here. The little man is snoring. As he does, it's kind of his thing. I feel like I want to go around that for some reason. He snores very loudly, I apologize. He can't help it. It's just how he rolls. It's so funny. I don't even really notice his snoring anymore unless other people are listening to his snoring, then I notice it. So it's only when I'm filming that I actually notice his snoring. The rest of the time, I don't notice it at all. He just snores away and we carry on. I really love his snoring though. It's one of those funny things that if you don't hear it, that's when you wonder why you're not hearing it. It's like, I don't know, when I was a kid, everyone always used to say, if you don't hear the children, they're up to something. So for me, that, if I don't hear him snoring, I do tend to wonder why. I'm still enjoying this here. It kind of feels, there's definitely a scene happening in here, which is quite interesting to me. I'm noticing that there's a whole scene going on in there. So I'm really kind of having fun with that. There's some sort of choppy waved water and mountains or something. I don't know. But we shall see where that all goes in the end. And I'm strangely liking this weird little knob of orange at the bottom. So I'm just going to have him. He can be there. It's fine. I don't mind. I'm still not doing super thick layers of anything. And I'm still just following my intuition. Whatever feels good, whatever works. If something doesn't feel good, then I might spray it and spray it. Erase it. He crawled into his bed and apparently laid on his squeaky toy. If nothing else, he is a constant source of entertainment for me. So that when I'm not painting with you, I am just giggling at him because he amuses me. Hey. Did you sit on Squeaky? Good boy. You alright. Little puppy. What's up? A drink of water? So I'm going in now, and as we did before, where we defined some of the different areas, I'm going in and defining some of them once again in slightly different ways this time because there's new imagery. Hey, coming up. Okay, let me put this down first. Hold on. Yeah, okay. Oh, this is often how I work. You want to sit the other way so you can see? Well, I can't hold you with that arm though. So, this is the noisemaker here. And now you'll get to see how I normally work when I'm here by myself in the studio. There's usually a lot of snuggles and kisses. Thank you so much. Yeah, you good boy. You can't lean on that arm though. That's not gonna work. You're funny. You're very helpful. I'll hold you with this one. You can lick that one. It really is a miracle I ever get anything done, in all honesty, because this little one is exceptionally helpful. You're funny. I love you. So this is often how I work. It's also how I tend to make jewelry. He'll sit on my lap and he'll lick my chin while I create something exceptionally helpful. Hello. It's also how he generally gets covered in paint. He tends to have like a turquoise smudge on his face or something because he'll end up snuggling me or I'll pet him without realizing that I have paint on my hand. Hey, you're very helpful. Not really. He has a talent for sticking his tongue right up your nose. It's quite awful. Oh, I love you. Can I finish what I was doing? Just give me a second. He'll curl up and go to sleep in a minute. Or he'll crawl up my nose. That's also an option. Hey. Can I paint though? I really would like to. You're gonna cough on me. I love you too. I love you so much. Can I paint though? Really? Can I? I'm kind of in the middle of doing something here. No. Kinda am. Okay, I'm gonna reach over here. I put my palette on the table next to the easel now. Because I can't hold all the things at once. All the things includes you. Oh, don't cough everywhere, please. It would be awful. Just don't do it. I love you. Yeah, I love you. So I'm still going through it, just pulling out different shapes in different spots. And you can see how some of those stars smeared. I hadn't anticipated putting turquoise in there, but it just felt right at the moment, so that's where I went. Hey. You done? I'm gonna curl up now and go sleep. You can sleep on Mama's lap. I don't mind. I do not mind. I do not mind. You're very cute. He never stops. Yeah, I'm just getting some paint. Oh, yes, I know. It's all very exciting for you. Yeah. I'm gonna be a famous internet celebrity. Crazy head. All right, we will sit here then, and we will do this as we normally do. Well, you sit, I'll paint. Oh, I'm not going to spray you, I never have. He's like, who might? Oh, I might. We never know. Just like I like the dark on the bottom, I like the light that was up there. So I'm going to keep some of that and then blend outward like this. There, love you. And you'll notice that sometimes I break into random baby talk. It's because I've been talking to him and then I forget that I'm talking to people. So that's why that happens. It's because I talk to this one. And I end up talking to people. And I forget to change my voice to normal human conversation. Hey, you're slipping. You're sliding down my lap. Oh, big boy. So, say hi to everybody. Hi, everybody. I am Shushu. I am the one who is always helping Mommy in the least possibly helpful ways. Hi. He's back to licking again. Oh, Lord. All right. He and his sister Zelda are my little baby creatures. Yeah, you're my fur babies. All right, so are you going to come get comfy? Yeah, you get comfy? You're just going to hang out. Okay. I love you, and you're hanging out. I think it's very cute. I do. I think it's lovely. And I'm still at this point not having any real rhyme or reason to where I'm placing the color. It just is where it feels good. So some things I'm still outlining a little bit, some things I'm putting back into the ether, as it were, and some things I'm bringing forward. It's really funny how that dove ended up happening. I might have to do something with that. I don't know what yet, but something. You're just going to sit there? Is that your plan? All right. You sit there. Can I get my palette then? Yeah. Get my palette. You sit and do your thing. I'll sit and do my thing. Everybody's happy. Yeah. I know. It's tough being a fluff. You're going to lay your head on my arm. That's not going to work out. And this is why I call them my helpers. Because they're helpful. In the not helpful sort of way. Yeah, baby. I love you so much. Can I put you in your bed? I'm really kind of in the middle of something here. Yeah. but I put you in your bed. You can sit on Squeaky again and make funny noises. I know you like the mama lap. But I can't paint as effectively with you on my lap. Oh, you go sit in your bed, boy. I love you. Off you go. You are too cute, mister. Yeah, I love you so much. You go curl up in your bed, sweetheart. Yeah, you go curl up in your bed. I'll be right here. I'm right here. I haven't gone anywhere. You've not lost me, I promise. Yeah? You steal a slipper. All right, you steal a slipper. I'm gonna go to the window. You can hop up there. You want me to lift you? What do you want? He's giving me the face. He wants something, but he's not going to tell me what. Not right away, anyway. He's going to make me guess. Yeah, I love you. You go have a sit down, sweetheart. Yeah, I know it's beautifully sunny out. We will go out. We were just out before, and we'll go out again. As soon as it gets warm outside, he must be outdoors. He has an addiction to the outdoors. The very moment that it becomes a little bit warm outside and a little bit sunny, he just has to. And I completely get it. That's the sound of him talking to himself over there, which is very cute. He's going to tell me what a terrible mummy I am now. Oh, I know, baby. Mommy's a monster. And then sometimes I'll go where I've had other colors before, and I'll actually go and fill in some of the flowers, just random stuff. It's still very much not a planned part of anything. It's still very much instinctive. You're just following your brush. Letting whatever happens, happen. I still don't know if I'm keeping the bird. What can you see? Oh, you can see just the back of my head. That's nice. Sorry. I'll move it more that way, I think. Or at least move myself out the way. And that's going to be lighter. I feel like he needs to be in here, and I'll pull him out again after too. Just kind of feel like that needs to pull that weird human form back a little bit. Because now that I know it's not staying, it's distracting. So I'll just get rid of that a little. There. That's a bit better. Just by getting rid of that one form, it actually helped that whole portion of the painting feel less crazy making. So that's good. And I'm not really covering over anything in particular. I'm not, except for that one face, but I'm not concentrating on any particular spots. I'm not refining any shapes just yet. I'm taking one of the three colors that I had and the white, and I'm just going into the spots where it feels good to be. I'm really enjoying the water, so I'm going to give that some attention. I wonder if all these little eggy things have something to do with Easter coming up. I have no idea. Kind of feels that way. You know what? I'm not covering over this, but it feels like it needs to go into the background for a minute so that I can concentrate on other stuff. So I'm just gonna fade that into the background for a moment. And that's one of the nice things about this process is if something is distracting you, you don't necessarily have to cover over it. You can fade it into the background, and then it's not going to distract you as much. And then you can concentrate on other portions of the painting without feeling like something is really yelling out at you. And I'm going to start taking some of the lighter. I really liked this yellow to begin with. I really did. And I still sort of do. I like portions of it. So I'll keep some of it. But some of it is gonna disappear. And I like these. It's so funny because these tangles came out of something that wasn't a fun conversation. And then they're actually going to be part of something that might actually be quite calming. So that's pretty cool. I'm still using fairly large strokes. I'm still keeping everything very loose, not getting too hung up on any specific spots, and I'm just enjoying the roughness of the movements, how everything has its own texture, no matter where I go in the painting. Everything's got its own way of being, which is part of what I like about it. So I don't want to lose too much of that, so I'm just going very lightly into some of the places, seeing what I find that I enjoy. Really liking this light turquoise. Really liking it a lot. And for me, like light turquoises and things are very calming. So when I start getting into the more final layers of a painting, you'll notice that I start using lighter colors, more something softer, unless it's something that feels like Ripples of Memory felt the way it felt all the way through, so it just stayed the way it was. It stayed a little bit dark and a little bit eccentric looking and lots of strange textures and unusual patterns, and I was totally fine with that. But for this, I'm really feeling into the whole changes in how it feels, because it's all in its own. It's changing all the way through. And I like that about this painting. He's funny. For me, this painting actually started off quite introspective and a little bit dark, I guess. And it even went some weirdly darker places for a while, as you all noticed, probably. And now it's coming back out again into something else. And these ripples that were up at the top corner are now coming back over here with this weird little purple thing. I don't know. So I'm going to roll with that feeling because it feels right, feels good, feels like it's gentle to my soul, which is what I think all of us need a little bit of right now. It almost has to me a feeling of the tangled thoughts have ripples and effects in your life if you let them, kind of, which is a philosophy I have and hold very dear. Because in life, things can't really affect you in super negative ways unless you let them. Or unless you have suffer from depression, in which case you have no control over it, as I've discovered. And now is literally the stage where we start getting into a little bit more. I'm painting by feel. I'm painting whatever feels right at the time. So these ripples are feeling right at the moment. So I'm working with them. And I'll keep working with that pattern. I'll keep working with the way it feels until something else comes along and work on something else. But for right now, it's definitely these ripples are a thing. And all of a sudden, I'm finally going back over here. It just felt like the moment. So all that time I spent avoiding it, now I'm back over here. It's pretty funny. And you'll notice I'm talking less and less because I'm getting more and more into the painting process. You get sucked into it further and further the further along you get. So this is about the stage where I tend to lose my vocabulary almost completely. So I apologize for the lack of speaking. I will try and keep myself articulate, or at least as articulate as I can. I'm hoping at least some of this process is making sense so far. And it's a little bit difficult when I'm working this way because I'm not interacting directly with you. So it's a little bit harder to gauge what's landing and what's not, you know? So hopefully you'll contact me through messages, or you can leave comments, absolutely, if it's not something too personal. I don't want you to put any like weird personal stuff out in the world if you don't feel comfortable doing that. But if you want to discuss some of what's come up for you, then by all means do. That's kind of fun. Just had this sudden urge to give these little guys some, I don't know what they are. Light sparks or something? Haven't a clue. But they just felt right. So I did. And he's still talking to himself. It's just how he rolls. He lives to talk to himself. But I suppose, you know, I do it too, so I can't really complain. I'm sort of talking to myself even now while we're here, so I can't really say anything. Yeah. I tend to talk to him and to myself, so videotaping myself talking to myself, I suppose, isn't that big of a stretch. And you can see now it's starting, the more I get into these different areas, the more it's starting to become cohesive. So all that chaos is starting to fade. Things are calming down. And some of the images that were here in the beginning have stayed completely, and some of them have changed entirely, while others have appeared and disappeared and reappeared. I don't feel like she's necessarily sad now, but I do feel as though she's holding, and it doesn't have to be in any way proportionate or anything. It's just a very abstract concept of a person, so it's not even highly detailed in any way. But I don't feel like she's sad, really. I feel more, she feels more contemplative now, almost. Like she's looking at something she has in her hand, sort of. All right, going back over here to this bird, which to me has a feeling of almost making peace with myself, if that makes any sort of sense at all. Probably not really. But like so many of us, I've been through a lot of big life changes recently, and I'm stuck indoors just like everyone else with the whole COVID thing. And so it's a time of really deep introspection, and it's a time of coming, to me anyway, coming into making peace with myself about the changes that I've gone through and about the way life goes and changes constantly, and we don't have control over a lot of that either, no matter how much we try and would like to. It's just not a thing that we can actually control so much. I mean, we try, don't get me wrong. We're humans, we can't help it. And in this part of the process, you go in with your cooler colors, your lighter colors, and you go through the painting and you pick out those parts of it that still inspire you, that might have inspired you since the beginning and still inspire you. And you can take your white and do some outlining. If you want it to feel more graphic as opposed to more painterly. Painterly just means more brushstrokey and loose and rough as opposed to being a whole solid lines and specific marks. So depending on how you would like it to look, you can go in and work on that as well. Oh my goodness. I apologize for his snoring and the fact that I laugh at the things he does, but I can't help it. He just amuses the heck out of me. And you can see I'm keeping some of the warm colors, but I am going through, softening some pieces, isolating other bits, just picking through what interests me, what feels good and a little bit juicy. But you can see, just by adding those lighter colors, it's toned down a lot of that crazy stuff that was going on before. And that fella that I started out with is completely gone now. So that's interesting. So other than in my journals, I never really got to discover what his deal was. Okay, that feels like it's been a while, so I'm gonna check and see. Because I could literally just paint for hours straight, and oh, it's been a half hour. Okay, so I will see you back here in a bit for our next little bit, our next stage.